Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon. Welcome to BCIT's The Crow. I'm Graciela Cruz Flores, and these are your news headlines at 12:30. Spotify has been receiving backlash on their ties to AI company Helsing, making artists remove their music from the streaming platform. Selena Teixeira has more on the story with its uproar in physical media sales.
As a variety of artists are pulling away from Spotify, many people are wondering where they should go to listen to their favorite artists. As vinyl sales continue to skyrocket since 2023, we can only speculate about the future of Spotify. Owner of Matterhorn Records, Johnny Matter, talks about the shift.
There's no point in being on Spotify, especially as an underground artist, because you're not getting anything from it. I'm doubtful most people that maybe come across your music on there will actually go to one of your concerts or go to your website or, let's say, Bandcamp and actually buy the music in physical form. I don't think anybody's going to seek it out. I think Spotify is like the new radio.
Spotify was once seen as an easy place for bands to get noticed, but now bands don't even want to be associated with the app. Selena Teixeira, BCIT News.
With the Vancouver Fringe Festival underway, many independent artists are given the chance to showcase their art in the form of theater. Our reporter Braden Coombs has more.
The Vancouver Fringe Festival provides the Lower Mainland community with an easy and accessible way to indulge in various forms of theater. Up-and-coming artists are given the chance to promote themselves and their work. Supporting local artists has been the festival's goal since the beginning, and it hasn't changed. Bruce McPherson, a head volunteer and photographer at the festival, explains how this is done.
For a $20 ticket, the Fringe Festival takes a $5 service fee. 100% of the remainder, i.e. $15, goes to the artists.
The Fringe Festival is now wrapping up, with its last show happening this weekend. Braden Coombs, BCIT News.
BC First Nations and logging firm want the Walbrand Valley Old Growth blockade to end. The Pachita First Nation on Vancouver Island says a blockade opposed to old growth logging on its traditional territory in the valley near Port Renfrew, BC, is undermining its authority and should disband. The First Nation says in a statement that forestry is a cornerstone of its economy, calling for the blockaders to stand down and leave. This comes after a firm co-owned by Huyat First Nations and Western Forest Products Inc. says in a lawsuit filed last week in the BC Supreme Court that a group of largely unknown individuals began the blockade of a road on August 25th. The lawsuit seeks an injunction to halt the blockade, alleging it's wrongfully preventing contractors from engaging in lawful forestry activities on Pachita territory. Victoria Police say liaison officers will be returning to area schools this month, with 2 officers being assigned to the local school district. This is part of a new Greater Victoria School District 61 safety plan following the firing of the district's 9 elected trustees in January. Victoria Police say more liaison officers in local schools are planned in 2026. The BC Wildfire Service says crews are at the ready as the province saw widespread lightning strikes in south of the province yesterday. The service says in its latest update that more lightning is expected today and temperatures in parts of BC remain slightly above season. The service says to expect smoke covering parts of the province to dissipate over the next 24 hours. There are about 142 active wildfires burning in BC. 9 started in the last 24 hours and 19 declared out. Police in Port Moody say an investigation has turned up more than 700 pieces of suspected stolen mail. 3 people have been arrested. Police say they received calls on a string of mail thefts and locker break-ins at the Sutterbrook Village development over the summer. An investigation into the thefts led to a search warrant at 2 homes in Surrey that turned up the suspected stolen mail. Charges are in the process of being recommended in the case. Prime Minister Mark Carney announced today an expansion to the Port of Montreal and work to double liquefied natural gas production in BC.
From now on, Canada's new government starts by asking ourselves for major projects, how? How can we do it bigger? How can we do it faster?
BC is among 5 projects to be considered first for the fast-track approval, including Ontario and Saskatchewan. This will include an expansion of copper mine in northwestern BC. In Toronto, the Canadian Institute of Health Information says the number of emergency visits for pneumonia doubled since last fall. St. Michael's Hospital emergency physician Dr. Stephen Lin says there was a spike in walking pneumonia caused by a bacteria that comes in cycles.
And the cycle usually is between 3 to 5 years, sometimes 3 to 7 years. I think the sharp rise that we saw last year was really because we didn't have that sharp rise during the pandemic. Because people stayed away, they were masking, and they had a lot of precautions.
Lin says he doesn't expect to see as many cases this year. However, emergency departments are preparing for a rise in viruses, including influenza and COVID-19. There's been more information on yesterday's tragic Evergreen High School shooting. AP's Lisa Dwyer reports that there are new details in the Denver school shooting.
Authorities say a 16-year-old boy who fired multiple shots with a revolver at a suburban Denver high school Wednesday, wounding 2 classmates, had been radicalized by an extremist network. One of the victims was shot inside Evergreen High School. Another was shot outside. The suspect, a fellow student at the school who later died, was found within 5 minutes of the arrival of law enforcement. Authorities have not provided details as to a possible relationship between the suspect and the 2 injured classmates. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Now in sports, in Port Coquitlam last night, the Vancouver Giants came up victorious once again with a huge overtime win over the Victoria Royals. Giants forward Tyus Sparks scored twice Wednesday night, including the overtime winner goal. Ending score was 3-2. This is the Giants' 4th straight win in the preseason, a great start headed to the regular season home opener on September 20th. The UBC Thunderbirds hockey team are hosting rivals the SFU Red Leafs hockey program tomorrow night. The Thunderbirds hold a record of 8-0 victories against the Red Leafs from 2016 to 2014. Though SFU won their first rivalry game in 11 years back in 2012. Puck drop is tomorrow night at 7 p.m. In the CFL, the Edmonton Elks draft pick Darian Newell has been given a 6-year sanction by the Canadian Centre for Ethics in Sport for violation under its anti-doping program. The announcement from CCES comes after Newell was given a year-long ban by the CFL for a series of doping infractions. During the sanction period, Newell is ineligible to participate in any capacity with any sport under the CADP or the World Anti-Doping Code. This also includes training with teammates. The NBA has a series of matches, including the New York Liberty against Chicago Sky. Chicago Sky star Angel Reese may still not be seen suited up today. After Reese's controversial comments about her teammates, she has not played since her first half suspension against the Las Vegas Aces. There are still mixed feelings from those comments. Fans and experts backed the power forward, while others slammed Reese for her statements. Reese, in a press conference, said the Sky needed to make changes to the roster after the win over the Connecticut Sun last week, saying that she doesn't want to settle for the same results next year and urged the franchise to acquire the best of the best in the offseason. Within 24 hours, Reese sent an apology to her teammates, admitting her mistake and thanked them for being there with her through thick and thin. Now, with some live updates from sports games of the day, the MLB, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Houston Astros once again in Game 3 of their regular season series. Huge win for the Blue Jays, shutting out the Astros 6-0. Pitcher Kevin Gausman played a full 9 innings with a 99-pitch complete game shutout. Gausman had 9 strikes and 1 walk. Week 2 in the NFL kickstarts tonight, too, with the Washington Commanders at LeBeau Field tonight against the Green Bay Packers. Packers are favored to win tonight, even after the Commanders' huge big win last week against the New York Giants. Kickoff will be tonight at 5:15. And tomorrow, the excitement continues with the BC Lions hosting the Ottawa Redblacks at home in BC Place. No details yet if newly signed defensive backs TJ Lee and Marquise Bridges will be suited up on the sidelines. But kickoff tomorrow will be at 7 p.m. And then early on Saturday morning, the Vancouver Rise FC will be away against AFC Toronto. Kickoff is at 11 in the morning, followed by the Vancouver Whitecaps hosting the Philadelphia Union. The Whitecaps are looking for a huge win against the MLS leaders. BC Place is expecting another full lower bowl for the 3rd straight game since midfielder Thomas Mueller's signing. Kickoff is Saturday at BC Place at 6:30. Now with our weather update, the sun did finally pop out, so it's mainly sunny outside with a high of 20 degrees. The sun will be out for the remainder of the day, so please, please, please go enjoy the sun while it lasts. We all know how Vancouver rain decides to just ruin our mood for the next 4 months. Clouds will return later tonight, and it will cool down around 7 p.m. The low will be 14, so maybe you won't be as sweaty later on. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Graciela Cruz Flores at BCIT's The Crow.
BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
When I tell people that I studied journalism, they immediately say, oh, you want to be a reporter. But I think, in my case personally, I really want to go into magazines, PR, social media. And I think here at school we learn a lot of skills that allow you to go into that world, because you learn how to write for social media, social content, for websites.